Hey, it's Mike at youarethepath.com. So I just wanted to shoot this video just to put out there that, hey, I'm here on the health thing, doing my best to make better choices. So, a few minutes ago, I had the thought, yeah, let's get some takeout food, some burgers and fries, and I noticed that I was thinking that, and I thought, no, Saturday is my day. On Saturday I can eat what I want. I can go all out if I want to. But Sunday to Friday, I'm going to be on the veggies, on the fruit, seeds, nuts, living foods. It's really cold here in the UK, so I'm going to be making some lentil soup. So, and this is it. It's being in that place where you're able to make conscious choices. Choices that you know are going to serve you. And as I've said on the previous videos, sometimes you have to reach that point where you're just fed up with doing it the old way, making the old choices that you used to make. Sometimes you have to get fed up and then kind of gear yourself up. Okay, so if you're not really on the health thing, whether that be making healthy eating choices or exercise choices, then you may need to gear yourself up. Set a date, I don't know, maybe next Monday, and start to think about the possibilities. It helps, and I forgot this, imagination. My imagination has got me out of so many dark periods in my life. When I was 20 and I failed at university and I came home and I was addicted to drugs and I was paranoid, I used my imagination. I had hope that I could turn my life around, and I had positive examples, positive influences in my life. Bruce Lee was one of them, and I would soak myself in that material. I would soak myself in that written material, martial arts magazines, Bruce Lee books. I started to get into Deepak Chopra, and that led to Eckhart Tolle and all that other stuff. Even though my life was a mess, and I knew my life was a mess at that time, I would drink wine every night, I would smoke every night, constantly making roll-ups that would just... Young and restless is the term. I was young and restless. And I was so out of it that I would just lie down on the carpet. I'm trying to put it across to you. It was like, at the same time as knowing that it didn't have to be that way, knowing that I didn't have to lock myself in my flat, I had no energy, but I had a lot of ideas. And I knew I could do it, but I was on wine and cigarettes, and my body felt awful, I wasn't eating right. But even though I was lying on the carpet, there would be something playing, either through my laptop. I'd have a radio show playing that would talk about health, positive psychology, how to deal with the ego and voices in the head. There'd always be something playing, and I'd always have books in the background that were about self-help and life solutions. And I would soak myself in that. I held on to this belief that things can be different. And I took it each vice at a time. The first vice I wanted to rid myself of was pornography, because I didn't believe it brought out the best in me, filling my mind with those kind of images, wasn't in alignment with the person I envisioned myself to be. I would never judge anyone for looking at pornography. How could I? Because I used to be in that place, and at one time in my life, that's what worked for me. It was a sedative, a way to numb myself of the things that I would rather not look at and deal with. So I tackled it each vice at a time. Then I tackled cannabis. Again, there was a time in my life where cannabis worked for me, and yes, it may have opened up parts of my mind, but it got to the point where it just wasn't having that positive effect anymore. It began to be a negative influence on my life, and this is how I picked myself up. And I always remember hearing, it was Joe Dispenza, and he said, you say to yourself, I'm a chemical being with chemical addictions. We're in this body. The body can get addicted to certain chemicals, whether it be through behaviour, attitude, or a substance of some kind. And you kind of accept yourself for that. I'm a human being in this body. I have these chemical addictions. But I'm going to take this one thing. And this one thing in my life, I ain't going to let anything get into this one thing. I'm going to keep this one thing pure and clean. And no matter whatever else is going on in my life, and at my time in my life it was sex addiction. I was in a very volatile relationship to a girl that I really was intoxicated by her body. You know, I really fancied this girl. This is the term we use in the UK. And couldn't get enough of her, but it was very volatile. We'd fight, and you know, we were incompatible in a lot of ways. I was into my spiritual stuff and she kind of frowned on all of that. And so, but even though I was in that relationship and I knew it wasn't working for me, all my loved ones and friends were like, hey Mike, what are you doing with her? And all of that. Even though that was going on, I kept that one thing clean. And it started with pornography. Then the next thing for me was cannabis. And then I gave up smoking. And then I worked on rising early, not staying in bed. Then from there, I took it into spending a little time studying to get my qualifications, and from there it was eating healthy, and they just became positive things then. So even though other parts of my life was a mess and I was on the floor drinking wine, smoking cigarettes, at least I wasn't on the pornography and stuff like that. So, and again, you see, and I can understand how this can be come across in the wrong way. I'm not making a moral judgment on sex. Sex is like food. It's a physiological need of the body, but I've learned that you can do without it. And when you're in that place where you can do without it, you can be in the company of your partner, or if you're in the company of whoever it is you're sexually attracted to, you can be in the company of that person without the craving being there, without the need to do something, without the need to jump into bed. And that's actually a place of power. You've got that control over your urges, and you're less likely to have your emotional strings pulled. But really that's for another video. But basically what I'm saying is I'm not judging anyone who enjoys pornography or anything like that. This is what has worked personally for me. This is my personal conclusions that I came to, and that has brought me to a place where I'm more myself. I have nothing to hide about myself. I've done videos about my battle with pornography. I've nothing to hide about it, and I've dealt with the shame and guilt around all of that. So what I wanted to put across in this video, because I know it's powerful to watch a video that is in real time. This is, I don't know the date, what is it, December the 14th? It's live, I'm here, making the positive choices, but what works for me is a balance. Okay, Saturday I do what I want, but what I find is, even though I can do what I want on a Saturday, yeah, I may eat some junk food, but I chew it slowly, and I don't gorge, and I don't just swallow down chunks of food. And I find that I don't need all that much. Maybe even half of a slice of pizza. Well, okay, maybe a few slices of pizza, but not a whole pizza, where I'm feeling horrible the next day. So I hope you got something from this. I know I promised a video about exclusion and inclusion. So again, this isn't excluding anybody out there who has these addictions. It's inclusion. It's learning about ourselves, learning to make choices that allow us to be more of who we really are, so we're not imprisoned by behaviours and substances that numb us and dumb us down to a degree. And that's why sex is pushed so much out there in the mainstream as a way to dumb us down, so that we're thinking with this and not thinking with this. We're not making decisions for the long term. We're seeking instant gratification, and we try and squeeze pleasure out of it and convince ourselves, yeah, I'm enjoying this. Who is it out there who has a tagline, I'm loving it? But are we really loving it? On that note, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you got something from this. Peace, guys. Catch us later.